you talk about optimism, usually the leaders will be very optimistic. And the rest of the people will roll their eyes, When the leaders share their vision and excitement, I can see the management team, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And then the rest of the people, oh my goodness. And we joke, and I joke with my participants that a leader's inspiration are the people's perspiration. Yeah, they can think of all the brilliant ideas, but someone has to do the work. Someone has to make things happen. The question I have is, how do we create an optimistic change? How do we get our people to look at possibilities rather than current set of limitations? And I believe I have an answer for you today. So I'm going to do a simple activity, and this activity will highlight what we focus on really expands. How do we create possibilities? All right, so I need to do something right now. I want you to find a partner. Okay, 2 persons are partner. Ready? Go. Look for a partner next to you. Okay, can you face your partner right now? Face your partner. Make sure you have a partner. Okay, if it's 3 of you, you have to do it very fast, all right? Good. Choose who is partner A and B. Go. Nice. All the A's, raise up your hands. Point to partner B and say, you start first. Good. Let's gather. In just 4 minutes, we discuss about what is possible, what could be, and then what needs to happen to move forward. And if you were to have this type of conversations in your office, I can guarantee you that people will tend to look at what's in front. They will always talk about, hey, you know what, we could actually try this out. And if you realize that up to now, we have not talked anything about the problem at all. Nothing about the problem, but you are actually solving something. You're solving a problem, some issues that you're having. So, and this is what I realized, that when we keep talking about problems, what we have at the end of the day is we magnify what are the issues that hold us back. But we do not talk about what are the things that needs to happen to move us forward. And that's a whole difference in the way we look at issues and problems. You can say that, well, Kenneth, I know how to move forward by just examining what's not working. Then you'll be asking, but Kenneth, if we don't understand the problem, can we really solve anything? Can we solve a problem? So I want to suggest to you we can. And this is how we are able to do it, by looking at possibilities instead of what holds us back. And I want you to indulge me, in the next part of my presentation to share with you what are the questions we ask and what do we look at in order to move people from problem thinking to solutions thinking very fast. Rather than focus on what is current and what holds them back, we're looking at possibilities of what sets them free. Okay, we are going to examine all these things. And if you think about it, a lot of our questions, a lot of the things that we are taught to do when we were young. I was trained as a mechanical engineer. Yay. Engineering guys. And we do understand that we need to understand root cause analysis, We must ask the 5 whys. If we don't understand why, there's no way we can solve things. But that's an assumption. That's a very interesting assumption, and I want to challenge that assumption as well. So we are trained in the traditional way of looking at things. We're looking at problems. So we ask questions. The normal questions we ask is, in your line of work, what is most challenging or difficult? Then you get people talking. Then after a while, you realize that if you keep asking these type of questions, it becomes what we call a BMW session. Okay, no offense in case some of you know people who drive BMW, okay? But to us, BMW stands for bitching, moaning, and whining. It becomes a complaint session about everything that's not working in the company, in the organization, and after a while, it can be a very negative conversation where you talk about all the things that's challenging and holding you back. Second thing, and we talk about, in the light of what you have said, what is making it so difficult? We are just looking at all the causes that makes it so difficult. And after that, then we ask questions like, what do you think is happening right now, And then you get more answers of chaos and upset people, sharing about what all the things they want to do, but they just can't do it because it's too difficult. And then we ask another question, what else is going on, What else is happening? And after a while, you can have conversations, you have good intentions, you really want to move people forward. But after a while, they get stuck into today's reality because you are talking about everything that didn't work. But you have not explored on what could work. And this is why conversations sometimes are not as effective or as efficient as you want it to be, because you're exploring in today's reality. So I want to share with you some ideas that how to move people in their current state of mind to focus on possibility thinking. And I want to share with you a story of a client. So I was called to the office of a client in Metropolis. So I was there to meet a senior project manager in charge of a very big shipping project. His job, his company has actually won a huge tender with the government of Ghana. They have to get the whole ship, build it in Singapore and send it to Ghana, to Africa, one of the parts of Africa. And so his job was to deliver this project on time. Okay, it's a very big ship. It's called it's an FPSO. For those who are in the shipping line, you probably know. Okay, this ship can actually go all the way there and transform, open up, and then you can drill right to the bottom, and drill for oil. And so he was just sharing that, Kenneth, there's a problem in my team right now. There are only 24 people. Half of them are all the experts from different continents. They are all there. They're all the specialists, really, really good people. And the other half is a local team. But we have a problem. They do not integrate well at all. There's a lot of cultural issues. People talk differently and they don't like each other. There's a lot of politics. A doesn't talk to B and B doesn't like A and C. And if you go into the office, it was an open office concept. That means there's no partitions at all. But when I walked in, I could hear the aircon blowing, Nobody was talking at all. You can hear people clacking away in their keyboards, and they're just typing away. And they need to send messages to each other. They do not talk to each other at all. And we asked them why. Why do you not talk to each other? Just, reach out to your colleague next to you. And they said, well, Kenneth, if there's anything wrong, there must be an email trail. We must have emails of everything. You can see trust levels were very, very low. And not only that, during in the meetings, nobody talked at all. And everybody talked only when the meeting is over, outside the meeting room, grumbling about all the things that they need to do. So if you are the leader at that time, or if you are or if you are me, as a consultant called to meet him, what can I say to him? What can I do to switch his mind? Remember, he spent half an hour talking about everything and complaining to me about his team. But what am I going to do with the next half an hour? And I wrote 5 pages of notes already of every single thing that's not working. And this is what most consultants will do. They will basically ask more questions about the problem. So tell me more about it, right? Or what happened? Why do you think it caused this? How come A doesn't like B? Why? Can you find some correlation? This is the typical way, right? To be able, because they need to believe that they need to understand the problem. But if you go down this route, what you have is more and more problems of everything. And the worst part, you can spend another half an hour talking about what didn't work. So, at this point of time, half an hour is all about unhappiness. Then I looked at him and I said, and I want to share with you this important principle that just changed the way I started to work with teams and to have better conversations with teams. And the principle behind this is listen to the wish behind the complaint. There is always a wish behind somebody complaining. And our job is to identify that wish and to talk about that wish. So this is what I did when I looked at him. I said, so dear senior project manager, end of the day, what you really, really want, from the way I hear what you have been saying, is you want a high-performing team that can deliver your project on time and safely. That's all you want, right? End of the day. Then he looked at me and said, Kenneth, that's exactly what I want. Can you help me get this? And I started asking him, so I'm just curious, in your line of work, what do you think is working well so far? Suppose if things were different, what will you notice will be different when your team is performing at the level they should be? What will they be saying to each other? And then after that, he started saying that, okay, I want my team to be able to do this. He started looking at a preferred future, a future that he couldn't see because of all the problems right now. He could only look at all the issues, but we started focusing on what could be. And after that, for the next half an hour, the conversations become all about, this is what my team could do. And then we started having a conversation on scaling. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at right now? What needs to happen right now for your team to move just one level higher in the performance levels? And after that, for the next half an hour, he started telling me exactly what needs to be done. And this is the whole idea behind moving people from problem thinking to solution thinking. Focus on what they want, not what they don't want. And if you think about it, a lot of times when we have arguments, a lot of problems, we are always focusing on what we didn't want. But we are not spending enough time talking about what do we really want out of the whole situation. How many of you have seen this group of people before? Okay, who are they? Good. If you can recognize them, that means you're old enough. And these ladies, they sang a very popular song that propelled them up to the charts. Number one. In fact, the Spice Girls are very solutions-focused. Very solutions-focused. You know why? Because in one of the famous songs that they sang called Wannabe, Wannabe, yes. Okay, the chorus goes like this. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna, zigga, 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 zigga. Ah. Does that sound familiar? And the Spice Girls are very accurate. They are very solutions-focused. Because when every time somebody comes up with you a problem, telling you about everything that's not working and they're upset about something, rather than dig more of the problem, maybe the first thing that we need to do is to ask them this very simple question. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Because you're telling me what you don't want. But isn't it more important to focus on what you want? Because we can figure out how to start moving forward rather than getting trapped in the mess. So this is what I want you to do right now. I want you to turn to your partner, look at them intently in the eye and ask, what do you really, really want? Come on, go. I realized something important. That in order to get people to start talking about possibilities, it's not to first tell them, don't be so negative. They're already negative. So what can you do? But focus on creating a possibility. Because for things to change, there must be a consideration of a preferred future, of a possibility that you and I are excited about. So that's where I will spend most of my time, creating a possibility. And remember, I've not told them that this is going to be done right now. I'm just exploring with you what could be different. Suppose if all your problems vanish and you are operating on the level that you always wanted it to be, what will be different? What will you notice will be different? And I will ask them that question. What do you think are the small steps that needs to happen right now to start moving towards that direction? And all of a sudden, you tend to have very optimistic conversations. Next thing. In order to have more optimistic conversations, we need to be able to identify and amplify useful change. While that is obvious in most companies, a lot of time, we spend a lot of time doing the exact opposite. Where we have problems in the office, we form task force and committees to look around it, to have a discussion around it. But wherever something works very well, we do not talk about it at all. We just make this statement like, you should know, right? And you must understand, the person who did this correct doesn't mean that the rest of the people knew that it was done correctly, or knew what this person did. And sometimes that's why the mistakes can always happen again and again, because it's not systemized across. And also because our society is excited about talking about problems all the time. If you think about it, it's more sexy to talk about problems. Oh, what happened? Did this person do this? Tell me what happened, tell me more, and tell me more. But when somebody succeeds, you're like, okay, cool, good job, But we don't explore further. So how can you create optimism in an organization where you're constantly talking about problems? How? Is it ever possible? I don't think so. So I want to share with you this story of a client. They are in the business of selling shoes. It's a very simple business, sell shoes, okay? So every single year, the company has very aggressive project aggressive earnings. And they projected at least double-digit growth every single year. And after a while, the 8th year at work, the head of sales said that, I have no idea how to sell shoes anymore already. I mean, how many different ways can you sell shoes, right? I mean, how many more promotions can you run? And rather than focus on the problem, he started to be very solutions-focused. He started looking at, okay, if I need to identify and amplify useful change, what does that mean to me? And he started asking questions that just changed the whole landscape of things. But before I share with you what is it, most leaders, they believe that in order to improve performance by one notch, there should be two things that must happen. The first thing, there must be more training. We must train the people so that they can be more competent, correct? And not only that, we must change their mindset as well. Right? And because their mindset is here right now, if we change their mindset, they can operate at a whole new level. And this is what most leaders will think about, these two things. I want to share with you there's a third thing. You probably haven't thought about it yet. Is why not we focus on what is something that has been successful and how do we make it even more successful? And so this leader, he was thinking, okay, how do I identify and amplify useful change? And he decided, wow, I had a brilliant idea. Who's our top sales lady right now, in the company? And out of 80, there was one lady who outsold everybody by a margin of 20%. 20% consistently. And she was the best. And he called her into the office and said, okay, I'm curious, what's your secret? And you know what she said? Boss, I have no idea. I did everything you taught me how to do. Every single thing, whatever you taught in the training, I did it. Then he was, in his mind, he was just thinking, no, it can't be, because if you do exactly the same thing, you should get the same results, right? How come you're better than everybody else? There must be something that you did. But she just said, I have no idea, boss. I really have no idea. He came out with a brilliant idea. He said, I'm going to watch you from afar. For the next 2 days, I'm going to stand at one corner of the shop, and I'm going to see how you sell shoes. I want to see what's your magic formula. And he found out what's the secret. He called her back to the office again, and he said, you know what? You did something really, really special. Every time a client were to ask you to bring one pair of shoes out from the storeroom, size 6, you know what you did? You went into the storeroom, and you took out 4 pairs of shoes that are size 6. And when the lady, psychologically, they came into the store wanting to buy only one pair of shoes, at the end of the day, how many pairs of shoes did they buy? No, they didn't buy 4. Women know how to control. They bought 2. And that increased her sales by 100%, correct? From 1 to 2. And not only that, she was able to get people to buy more because she used the magic statement, oh, do you have credit card? You can earn points. Has it been said to you before? People who pay by credit card tend to buy more because they don't feel the pinch of money going out. So that's how she was able to convert a lot of people. Not everybody, but her conversion rate was higher than most people. And he was very curious. How do you know exactly which 4 pairs of shoes to bring out? How do you know? Was it some random 4 pairs of shoes that were the same size? Then he said, boss, that's where you don't understand anything about women. What do you mean? I'm the head of sales, I should know. You see, when a lady walks into the shoe shop, she never asks for the first pair of shoes that they see. They always look at this pair, that pair, and they say, I want this one, size 6. And then what she did was she would just mentally note, you saw this pair, you saw this pair, you saw this pair, you saw this pair. Anything that is more than 2 seconds, you looked at it for more than 2 seconds, she'll bring it out for you. And she was extremely observant. And immediately when he debriefed her, do you know that you did that? You know what she said? It's obvious, right? It's obvious, right? But what was obvious to her was not obvious to the rest. And immediately the head of sales called for a meeting the next week and told every single one of their 80 staff, ladies, every time a lady would ask you to bring 1 pair of shoes, how many pairs of shoes should we bring out? 4. And not only that, when they want to pay, ask them to pay by credit card. And instantly, within 9 months, the entire organization reached its entire year's revenue. Because they focused on what created success rather than what didn't work. If you think about it, a lot of conversations, coaching conversations, sometimes talk about what didn't work. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm saying that there is a lot that we can learn if we focus on what creates success. So I want you to do something. Tell your partner next to you. Identify and amplify useful change. Ready? Go. The third point I want to make about how to create optimistic change in organizations, even within your team, is this whole concept of small steps in the right direction leads to larger change in life. And this is important because a lot of organizations right now, the changes are massive, they're big. It's very scary after a while. The question is, how do you keep winning in the midst or in the sea of big changes? I'm going to give you an idea. Okay? The whole idea of winning big is actually, on the contrary, to do the exact opposite. to keep doing small. And I'll explain to you through this story. How many of you have ever seen animal training before? Animal training. If you want to train a dog to jump 5 feet up into the sky, through a loop, what do you think the trainer will do? What do you think? They start low? The question is how low? Low? This low? This low? And you know what they do? They start from here, on the floor. The job of the trainer is just to get the dog to go through the loop. The first step. It's very simple. It's just to go in and out, And then, of course, they will praise the dog. They will encourage the dog. Say, good doggy, awesome, they go in, out, in, out, in, out. That's what they want to condition the dog to do. Just to do it. Just to keep winning. And if the dog refuses to go through, it's very simple. You just put biscuits along the way. So even if they eat their way through, it's considered a win. And you praise the dog and say, great job, doggy. And then after that, they will increase the height by just half a feet. And half a feet is no challenge. The dog will just go in and out, no problem. True. The whole idea is to condition it to keep going in and out. And then after that, at 1 feet, no problem as well. But at 2 feet, when you slowly raise to 2 feet, the dog realizes that he needs to start moving up his paws a little bit more already. Just a little bit more. And after a while, at 3 feet, the dog realizes that he needs to pounce forward. Just pounce forward. And the dog is always conditioned to win. Always, all the time. And at 4 feet, the dog realizes that he needs to run a little bit and jump through. And at 5 feet, the dog realizes he needs to start all the way from the end, very far away, run and jump through. In every sequence, in every single try, the dog is conditioned to win. There is no such thing as failure. No way to fail. And this is how the dog starts adopting self-belief that I can actually do this. But if you think about it, when we contrast this to human performance, I know we are different from animals. But every time we hire a new person, you know at what feet we want them to perform at? 5 feet. Immediately. And if they can't do it, it's their fault. It's their fault. Because I thought you said you could do this. I mean, isn't that what you said in your resume? And then after that, we start blaming. But remember, you picked the best person out of 80 over applicants, So if they can't perform, maybe it's time to look at how we can help people perform at different levels. And everyone starts at different levels. The problem is I do not know what level you start with. So we always think that everybody starts at the same level, but everybody has a different starting point. The question is, how do we find what's the starting point? And then we build it up progressively. And what I've noticed is when you start building a whole idea that I can actually do this, it's very, very powerful because winning is the best motivator. People who keep winning or teams that keep winning don't need to be motivated at all because winning itself is motivational. So if you keep needing to do motivational talks, maybe they are not winning enough. Yeah, so my question is, how do we create an environment where our team can just focus on the next small win rather than a big win all the time? Any big vision is a whole series of small wins because you will never get to the big vision if you're not winning consistently over time. It's very difficult to run a marathon without any sign to say that it's going to be over. It's like hell, You just keep running and running and running. It's so painful, tiring, but there's no end in sight. And it's actually very, very tiring. And this is important because when we start getting people to win small, they start believing in themselves and they start saying statements like, hey, I can actually do this, rather than a leader telling them, you can do this. There's a difference, of a leader extrinsically sharing and motivating them, but it's a lot different when a person starts saying within themselves, I can actually do this. And this is developed over time. I want you to consider, how many of you have actually had a New Year's resolution at one point of time in your life? Let's be honest, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. I'm not going to ask you the second question. Like how many of you actually achieved it? And there'll be very few. There could be a few. There are very few. And the worst thing is some of you have said that I've given up on New Year's resolution already. I've given up on making personal goals. And you know what's the scary thing? Then later you're running company goals already. You are expected to hit company goals, but you're not expected to hit personal goals. So I think, so what's the difference? And the question is, how do we get people to keep hitting their goals? And why do people set goals and then after that not do it? I just want to excite you, and I just want to suggest something, then maybe your goals were too difficult. It's too massive. It required such a big change or shift in your lifestyle that you just find it so difficult. But what if you started to set goals that you can keep winning easily? What if you could just achieve it and just need to do something and you feel that, hey, I've managed to hit something, and then after that, start moving the goalposts a little bit backwards and increase the little targets a little bit at a time. What if we did that? Will you start believing in yourself after a while? I would like to suggest yes. You start saying that, hey, I can actually do this small thing. I'll look for the next big thing. After a while, I delivered this talk in many different places, and when I finished the conversation, one of the leaders came up to me, after a conference of a very large global logistics company. He said, Kenneth, I love your ideas. How do we operationalize it? How do we do it? How can we make it happen for my team? And he says he leads a sales team. There were 44 people, and in this company, they have what we call, they have introduced a new target. It's called 15 FTBs. FTB stands for first-time buyers. That means the salespeople need to acquire 15 new clients every single month on top of their existing targets. They have other targets as well. So every single month, they just can't do it, except for a few people. Out of 44 people, only 2 persons were able to achieve it. And every single month, they're driving, and they just say, I don't know how to make it better. Right? So I asked him a very simple question. So let's not use names. Dear head of commercial, what are current numbers like? Oh, he said currently it's 9 or 10, hovering around 9 or 10. That's the average. Okay? And the target is 15, right? Okay, I'm going to share with you something crazy. I'm not sure whether you can accept it or not, but just listen to me. Set the target to 11. Then he looked at me and said, Kenneth, you don't understand. My target is 15, not 11. It's 15, I need to hit 15. Then I looked at him and said, so how does you insisting 15 every single month help you achieve your target? And it's been going on for 9 months already. How does it change anything? Maybe, do you want to consider doing something different? Then he looked at me. He was silent. Okay, tell me more. So the whole idea is to create a series of small wins. Set it to 11, and when they hit 11, and the whole idea is to get more and more people to hit 11, because they know that 11 is just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And after that, move it to 12. And then when they hit it, move it to 13, then 14, then 15. In every single month, I'd rather you make them feel they are winners than every single month they feel that they are losers. After that, he was silent. He said, okay, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. And we met 1 year later. 1 year later, it was in MBS. We had dinner together. He said, Kenneth, you know what? I'm so glad that right now my team, more than half of them are able to hit 15 FTBs right now. Because we are focusing on progression. We do not just demand for results. We focus on what needs to happen for you right now to move one level higher. And all of a sudden, the conversation changes. It's no longer as demanding. It just focuses on what you need to do to just move towards that one level of incremental performance. And this is what we want. We don't want people to have very big targets, and after that, they say they want to do it, but in their minds and in their heart, they all know that it's not going to happen. And the worst thing is they start being cynical about it. And we want to create a whole culture of progressive thinking and forward moving. And this is how we can do it. So everything starts by a series of small steps. So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, after you listen to my talk today, what is your next small step? Thank you very much.